Good evening, beautiful people of the interwebs. You might notice that the background is a little bit different tonight as the sky lights up with lightning. I am in Washington, D.C., and I wanted to do a video talking a little bit about Mercury retrograde that we are experiencing. Um, the humidity out of nowhere, like a light switch. I've been sitting out here for over an hour, and yes, it's been raining off and on, but the humidity just like a light switch kicked on. So glasses are going to come off. They're going to go back on when I have to because they're fogging up. So I did a video, full moon in Capricorn, I guess it was, talking about the fact that we're also experiencing Mercury retrograde. And it just is it really just is hitting home with me. Boy, is it hitting home with me in many, many ways. But if nothing else, based on the fact that, with Mercury retrograde, it is about redoing, renewing, revising. So just add the prefix re to whatever. It's a time to reflect, but to look back on previous experiences, projects, situations, relationships, whatever, and see what we've learned, what we want to change, what we want to keep, what we want to accentuate, and what maybe no longer has a place in our lives. And before I came up here, I did a daily draw, and I said, it's just kind of, what do I need to know about my trip? What things will I experience? And I pulled from Chanel Day's beautiful Velvet Heart Tarot, and I got the Hanged Man, or the Hanged Woman, as it is in her deck. And it's such a unique version of the card with the picture frames on a wall, and all of them are blank, are empty, except for the one that is the central focus, which has this beautiful woman's face upside down. And to me, it kind of begs the question, is this a photograph? Is this her looking in the mirror? Is this FaceTime, in our modern day age of looking at, images? What's going on here that has her in this reverse? Is she looking at herself from the perspective, again, as a mirror? Is she reviewing? Is someone else looking at her? So I think this is such a unique version of the Hanged Man. My gosh. But when we think about Mercury retrograde, I think that the Hanged Man card has a lot, it definitely has place and speaks very much to Mercury retrograde because it is a card about the pause. It's a card that either by choice or by life circumstances and situations that have us looking at things from a very different perspective. I mean, you're literally upside down, has us asking questions about sacrifice. For me, it's a very big card around sacrifice. What are you willing to sacrifice? What have you sacrificed thus far that you are no longer willing to continue to sacrifice? What, where are you too flexible? Where have you been too flexible? Where could you be more flexible? Especially when we think about the traditional imagery of the Hanged Man card. And it's funny because, like I said, I came up here Thursday. Tonight is Monday. So when I drew the same card to get it again only 4 days later, 5 days later, it's very interesting having just gotten it, journaled on it, and now to get it again in Mercury. So it's revisiting. The card itself is revisiting. But now from the different perspective on the other side, as I'm about to end my trip, as I go back to New Orleans tomorrow, to just review what has happened in the past few days. And there have definitely been so many situations, whew, God, there have been so many situations around rethinking, redoing, reconsidering. What sacrifices have I made that just I realize it is too uncomfortable? Like being upside down, bending over backwards for someone is not sustainable. Yeah, as you can see, the wheels are turning as so many things have hit me very hard. And it's interesting as I'm in Washington, D.C., because this is where I was actually born. This is the city of my birth. So I'm definitely remembering certain things. I left when I was I was a little girl, like 3, but just remembering the times that I've been here in my adulthood, revisiting old friends, seeing people I haven't seen in God decades, so many, many, many years, going back to the same, not the same nightclub, but the same street. And it was a birthday party for someone that I haven't seen since, my God, 1998, 97, all these people. So there have been a lot of really good and positive experiences of the Mercury retrograde aspects, and it all happening in the city, to revisit the city that I was born in, that I still feel a very strange kind of a connection to. It's very small, it's very thin. But when you think about the hangman, it is that card of pause. Because when we're busy going and doing, moving, and kinetic energy, we miss certain details, we miss the subtleties. So, with that experience of things being flipped upside down, to have the time and the space and the ability to rethink, and just feeling that small, but still, there are so many mosquitoes out here, um, thread that still connects me to the land that is the district. You know, it's interesting because being here on the 4th of July, there were a lot of things that in these here United States America that were very unpleasant to have to know were happening about a mile or two in that direction. I'm not sure if you can see the Washington Monument over the railing, but she's right there. And so reconsidering the reasons why I would want to become an expat, which is really, let's be honest, a fancy word for immigrant. Um, so it's been really, really a very profound trip for me, some very profound, deep, heavy, intense experiences, which makes sense as this is a major arcana card. Archetypically speaking, of all the things that this card represents, but how interesting that it happened during Mercury retrograde. So I'm almost like rethinking what I want to move back to Washington, D.C. at any point. Now I'm rethinking maybe I wouldn't want to, but then the rethinking of the rethinking, maybe I would. There's still that pull of the land here for me, reconsidering what is important to me, what is my in alignment with my own personal value system. What sacrifices, again, would I be willing to make? Because leaving New Orleans would be a massive sacrifice because I love that city so, so much. I have such a deep connection, so many ancestral ties, as well as my own personal experiences. So these are just musings. There's really, yeah, this is just a video of me just kind of journaling out loud, perhaps. But I hope that some of the things that I'm saying will resonate with some of you, that makes you have the ability to kind of understand or embrace Mercury retrograde and to be able to apply its lessons and its meanings in some practical ways. So for S&G, let's just pull, oopsie, yeah, let's just pull a card. I'm so happy with this deck. I love it so much. It's a really interesting thing I find with Chanel's decks. They just speak to me. They are so loquacious. The conversation just flows instantly and so clearly. So, Spirit, final thoughts on what I've said thus far. Well, this makes sense. This definitely makes sense. The Five of Coins. And in this deck, her pentacles are coins, and instead of using like actual pentacles or coins, she uses pearls to represent that suit. And just, yeah, the broken strand of pearls, the actual cracked and broken pearl. So I think this is another very powerful image of what the Five of Coins represents, that loss, that something very valuable now, can it be repaired? Or, is it worth picking up the pieces and trying to repair something? Or is it having to accept? It makes me think that, the fives draw back to the Master Five, which is the Hierophant. Tradition, something that is consistent, laws, rules. And yeah, what laws now am I having to rethink? What things that were so precious and so valuable to me have been broken and can't be repaired and can't be replaced. So, just some musings on Mercury retrograde. And behind me is the NASA building, which is why it's lit up in the red, white, and blue. But it's a pretty sky with a beautiful lightning. So, with that, I hope you all, wherever you are, stay safe, stay sane, stay healthy, stay happy. And I will catch you in the next video.